Thank you so much for inviting us in your homes or wherever you're watching us from. This is Camnet News. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. The top stories on our desk tonight. CCZ describes 2020 as a difficult year for Zambia economically. LUAPULA chief advocates for political change in 2021. 4 days voter registration exercise extension ends today Sunday as more people are still left out. In international news, Somalia-Kenya diplomatic role deepens. And in sports news, Messi equals PELE record with 643rd club goal. Let's take a breather. Join me shortly for the details.
Hello, have you heard about Msika? Do you know that you can advertise for as low as 150 kwacha for 30 seconds? Well, Msika is here. Advertise on Msika between 17 hours and 18 hours. Just tell us about the services that you offer and we'll gladly put you on the market. For more details, you can contact
+260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467.
Msika, allowing your business to grow.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll look at the news in detail. The Lusaka City Council LCC has started demolishing illegal structures built on the main drainage system in Lusaka's Mutendere compound. This follows a directive issued by local government minister Charles Banda, who recently toured the compound after several houses got flooded as a result of the blocked drainage pipes. Lusaka City Council Public Relations Manager George Sichimba has told Camnet TV in an interview that the exercise has, however, been challenging due to the impassable roads. Details in this report.
I want those wall fences out and I want all those drainage systems opened so that we have got water passing into those drainage systems.
Following the directive by the local government minister Charles Banda to have all illegal structures built on drainages in Lusaka's Mtendere and Kalikiliki compound, the Lusaka City Council has moved into action and has started the demolition of all the state structures. The illegal structures have been distracting the flow of water in the area, forcing waters to move in residential homes, causing damages to property.
You may recall that a few weeks ago we were given an ultimatum by the local government minister to demolish all the structures that are sitting on the drainages in Tendere and Kalikiki, and to that effect we moved in as Lusaka City Council. However, we have had challenges in terms of space. If you look at the space there, it's so small that we can't mobilize and take our equipment there like bulldozers. The space has been small. So we have been demolishing using manual or manually, so to speak. And so that's why we have gone beyond the 4 days that was given by us. Otherwise, we are on the ground. But our appeal again is that people that have built on top of drainages should not wait for us to go and demolish. It's common sense. They should just own up and start demolishing so that everybody benefits from that. The floods there is because of this same reason, and we don't anticipate that people will still continue with their illegalities. It's better to own up and do the right thing.
It is hoped that this will be a lesson to all those who are in the habit of building illegal structures. Prudence Chota for Camnet TV News.
The 4 days voter extension announced by the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ is coming to an end Sunday, 20th December 2020. However, in Solwezi district in Northwestern Province, hundreds of eligible voters have been left on queues. Details in this report.
The Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ had announced a 4 days voter registration extension after the exercise came to an end on the 12th of December 2020. Sunday, 20th December, marks the end of the extended days. However, it is a sad reality that even at the cessation of the 4 days extended period, thousands of eligible voters will not be allowed to vote and decide the choice of their leaders in 2021, as ECZ has cut them from doing so. In Solwezi, hundreds of people were still found on queues on the last day of the extended period. A check at Civic Center, Kim Masalan Kiawama found several people still pursuing to get voters' counts, but their hearts are boiling with anger that despite their desire to vote, it is most likely that they will not, as they have not been issued with voters' cards by ECZ.
Voters card kuno yetu shupa tunakuyane ma 01 24 02 mujine bana kuipayanga n'abavura bino byotsa kuyako kwako tukoba bena kukopera kufika ko kwamba mwane kujima list yo musa kufika rukeronya mu list oba kwimuremba mbayine mwane list kafwa ko ne babwera byatabura tabura kana pakuremba list yako ako komba muri pirenga mari bano kana nishiyo mwiba tumaba no bantu kuno mbabe turipirishenga mari mino tukope mavuta kadinyi kampe bibireke tumukawere ane bene muke voterenyi atakyo tunoke ba voters card bonse mambo bako pawo bachetse bashara ko bo bavura
Kwijanya kuno kuno Western province panopa kimasara Solwezi district kwijanya government ke yawa burongone baukepesha madezi akuba register ma voters card mambo zonse myaka yonse pekana kuitupa ko 2 months panone mwaka bapantu banuma kikacyarengera government kwijanya tunungira iko mambo akubamba bantu panopa kimasara ke bavura bakopoane.
More complaints are the order of the day.
Naishire mailo after na inuka fikundi sto naishire 1845 twachirara pano pene pa civic center twachidabo wachi otusero 6 hours ya tutaba tupere out tabeshere mukusenda ila list out tunatemwa pasangwa kwa bakuturandira ko abakwe bati nangwa abale mfwa kufepali fini nderanda badusha ko kwe bati at least barunda kufikanisha nangu nayambi ama days.
The Nsakwa Yabaka on the body that speaks on behalf of the people of Northwestern Province through its member Milton Mukwasa is saddened with the current situation.
It is mockery to people of Northwestern Province and the people of Zambia. I can assure you and tell you the truth that in our Royal Highness Chief Matebo, the chief rang me to tell me that here at all the centers we haven't received any person. That means the time they were going there, it was already.
Senior headman Mulawa Nyama from Kapijimpanga Chiefdom says this year's voter registration exercise is different from the previous ones, which never brought about controversy.
This voter registration for 2020 is a different one. If we compare for previous registrations, this one has brought a lot of calamity, a lot of problem to our subjects, our children. For them to register, they have to sleep on the registration center for 2 days, which is not good. And this rainy season, people are suffering. So we are saying the 4 days is a mockery to our people.
Kalan Muchima reporting for Camnet News.
Meanwhile, Solwezi Central Member of Parliament Stanford Molusa has described the voter registration exercise as a sham. Speaking after touring various registration centers in Solwezi, Mr. Molusa says he expects not less than 100,000 registered voters ahead of the 2021 general elections. Mr. Molusa has also demanded for answers on how the prisoners are going to be voting in 2021, as well as how campaigns are going to be conducted in prison facilities, especially for the opposition.
We are actually disappointed with the Electoral Commission of Zambia because as far as we know, this process could have taken at least more than 2 months so that all our people can register to vote in a very, very important election of 2021. But whatever they have brought, whether it's a good system, it is actually disadvantaging our people from voting next year. So we expected that ECZ would increase at least not less than 21 days or even a month so that all our people can register. This is 13 hours. You have seen we have passed through most of the centers, and this is one of the centers with a very high turnout. I'm told there are more than 300 people. And this is just 13 hours and more people are coming. So there will be more people here. They don't need the hours remaining. We need the days so that everyone can be registered as a voter. So it is important that next time ECZ listens from the stakeholders. There is no stakeholder was consulted on the period, and the equipment that they brought is very, very slow. Each equipment is registering a minimum of 100 people per day. So if we have about 20,000 people in an area like this one, how do you even register everyone? So it is unfortunate, but we hope that whatever will come out, it has to be, for Storage Central, I expect more than 100,000 registered voters. And if we won't achieve that 100,000, more than 100,000, it means that the whole process has been a sham. And it is not even pleasing to see how arrogant the ECZ has been towards the 2021 elections. The other point I want to stress is that we have no clear guidelines on how prisoners are going to vote.
Still on the voter registration exercise, but in Lusaka, where a local clergy, Dan Pole, Sunday morning took it upon himself to take his church members to register as voters as they were having challenges registering due to long queues. Dr. Pole has told Camnet TV News in an interview that the 4 days extension period has been inadequate, considering that some centers have been closed, leaving people with no direction as to where the nearest center is. Meanwhile, a check by Camnet TV in some voter registration centers have found long queues of people trying to be captured in the exercise, while others have recorded a low turnout. Details in this report.
As the voter registration exercise comes to an end today, Sunday, the 20th of December 2020, some eligible voters might still be left uncaptured in the exercise. A check by Camnet Television has found scores of people at some centers trying to acquire both their national registration cards and their voter registration cards. Some centers have also recorded a low turnout, especially those in urban places. And the Lusaka-based clergy, Dr. Danny Pule, has called on the Electoral Commission of Zambia to consider extending the exercise.
I further want to say that despite, of course, the queue is moving fast here, and most people were discouraged from coming because they thought it would be like the previous time when there were a lot of people. There is improvement, and at the same time, my call is that there's need for further extension, because we are getting reports from different parts of the country. There are places where they haven't even gone back, some polling centers. So it's important that the Electoral Commission extends the voters' registration by probably another 1 week.
And some residents spoken to have equally expressed concerns that they might be left out due to the slow process that has characterized the entire exercise.
Jibalibema voters card. Funika once about the series so that it tenga ma voters card mkati. Lecho nechifuni.
Amba yakusenda ma voters card babefaika futhi babike kwa at least 2 weeks so abantu bakwanisha ukusenda ma voters card.
Kai apa mwana kambila ti the last day. Sifu konka last day ndafya ikaka last day bantu bazajubirika niwambiri bantu muone bali pa malaini bafuna ma voters card and then wena batenga marriage bakatenga marriage ndipo bazafunika kutenga na ma voters card manje bakamatire last day bantu bazatenga kwanje.
We need extension of the days because definitely, as you can see right here, the crowd is actually increasing every time. We are actually many. All of us, we got our right. You know, voting is everyone's right. We want to vote as many as we can. So actually the day cannot actually end here because we are still there.
Echo tulomba kwa fiati ya trisi barunde kwa ma days cause na chipeza sana cause lero twaliro fya maleji then nomba tule start press then ngato start press so lero namba ti barera ndati natufulisha sana so nomba ngato za senior maleji tukastara register sana as a vote.
The decision has now been left in the hands of the Electoral Commission of Zambia to either follow the plea of the citizens or be satisfied with their achievements. Prudence Chota for Camnet TV News.
Meanwhile, it is Jesse aspiring Member of Parliament Ebet Namalongo has called on the European Union, the United States Embassy and the human rights defenders to take in interest in what is obtaining on the ground in relation to the voter registration exercise. Mr. Namalongo explains that it is clear that ECZ is breaking the law by ending the voter registration exercise when the Constitution demands that the voter registration must be ongoing. He says it is unfair that ECZ is making its own laws disregarding the Constitution and the Zambian people it's supposed to serve. Mr. Namalongo has cried for the millions of the Zambian people who will be left out from the exercise due to ECZ's own set of laws it has prescribed for itself.
Let the European Union, US Embassy and human rights defenders speak out on voters' registration. Today is Sunday, the 20th of December 2020. ECZ is breaking the law daylight by ending voters' registration, taking advantage of poor citizens without knowledge on governance and human rights. European Union, US Embassy, and human rights defenders in Zambia, I challenge you to speak out on the voters' registration as government is sitting on our rights. As a concerned citizen, in the same vein, I challenge Electoral Commission of Zambia to follow the law and extend the voters' registration. It is important for ECZ to make voters' registration continuously so as to avoid defranchising citizens who are not eligible to vote in the next year's general elections.
Vice President Inonge Wina says the manufacturing sector has the potential to create jobs, reduce poverty, and contribute to wealth creation if well harnessed. Ms. Wina states that this is the more reason why government is pushing for positive policies that will support the industry. He says it is the wish of government to ensure that the sector begins to produce products for international markets that will boost the country's GDP. The Vice President said this in a speech read on her behalf by Minister of National Development Planning Alexander Chiteme at the official opening of Sikale Deco East Park Mall outlet in Lusaka.
His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, during his launch of the Economic Recovery Program 2020 to 2023 at the Mulungushi International Conference, the President informed the nation that the manufacturing sector was key in our country's roadmap to economic recovery and stability. The President further went on to mention that one of the actions required was to aggressively pursue the export market opportunities through investment promotion, missions in markets such as the African continent and the Continental Free Trade Area and the tripartite free trade agreements in order to support job creation, whilst simultaneously pursuing a policy framework to support industrial reliability and sustainability. Therefore, the work you are doing needs to be encouraged so that you contribute to the growth of the manufacturing industry.
Kembe constituency Member of Parliament Princess Kasune has castigated government for only delivering farming inputs on time when there are elections near. Ms. Kasune says the inconsistencies in the farming sector is killing the local people that entirely depend on farming for their survival. She notes with regret that government has been depriving people of farming inputs in her area, maybe just because they belong to the opposition. She says if that is the position of government, then it is unfair and should come to an end as people have the right of association and belonging. Ms. Kasone, meanwhile, says that she has received a similar report like that from Luansha, where fertilizer has gone missing, calling on the minister in charge of agriculture to institute an investigation into the matter.
The farming inputs were much better this year, but again, it's because of 2021 that is coming. we shouldn't be doing things based on political mileage. We should be doing things because it is the right thing to do. And we have argued in my constituency of Kembe that we should also be on the direct FISI program so that people now can do whatever they want to do. What I have heard mostly is that some people are still being left out on the lists. And secondly, there is a transporter who was actually contracted by FRA, who has run away by Ministry of Agriculture, who have run away with the inputs of the farmers. This is the case I want to follow. This is the case I'm asking Honorable Katambo to come in. There's just a lot of discrepancies, and at the end of the day, we are depriving ourselves a sector that should be feeding our nation. The inconsistency in the farming policies in Zambia is killing our farmers because they can feed themselves, but they can also sell even to the neighboring countries. We have not taken advantage of our strategic position as a region. Zambia, there is so much we can benefit from agriculture, and the Kembe in particular, that is a farming belt to Samba. But because of the way we are doing business, where if you are not in the ruling party, then you are sidelined and all the people suffer. It is not right. Because at the end of the day, people intermingle, people intermarry. You're depriving the people of Kembe or wherever UPND is strong. You are depriving Zambians in general, because at the end of the day, some of the people who come from where PF is strong today, if there is even such a thing, and they'll come and intermarry, they'll come and befriend each other.
You're watching Camnet News. We take a break, but still to come in the news, CCZ describes 2020 as a challenging year. Join me shortly after this.
And why do you look so pale and busy scratching yourself? Well, Amwandi, you know my skin is very sensitive. I've tried all the skin products and nothing seems to work.
Have you tried Oracle Pure Glycerin?
Oracle Pure Glycerin? What's that?
Just give me a minute.
Oracle Pure Glycerin gives your skin a youthful and healthy glow.
Ish, you're glowing. Don't tell me. Yes! I already know the secrets. Oracle Pure Glycerin!
Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for that perfect skin.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Hello, have you heard about Msika? Do you know that you can advertise for as low as 150 kwacha for 30 seconds? Well, Msika is here. Advertise on Msika between 17 hours and 18 hours. Just tell us about the services that you offer and we'll gladly put you on the market. For more details, you can contact
+260 953 995099, +260 962 444 726, or +260 971 177 467.
Msika, allowing your business to grow.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying on. We continue with the news. The Council of Churches in Zambia, CCZ, has described 2020 as a challenging year for Zambia. CCZ Secretary General Father Emmanuel Chikoya explains that both economic and political situations have been a source of concern for the country in the year 2020. Father Chikoya also says Zambia witnessed an escalation in corruption and violence levels. The CCZ General Secretary regrets that high taxes on the citizens have only made the situation worse as prices of commodities keep rising due to the high levels of inflation. Father Chikoya has, however, urged citizens to deeply reflect and come up with ways in which they can all play a part in the resuscitation of the economy moving forward.
It was a turbulent year. Economically, I mean, things are just messed up. And, politically, we have been at 6s and 7s, a lot of rhetorics. But there's no decisiveness on issues of violence, on issues of corruption. A lot of money is being wasted. Look at the bridge on Arikata Road. That is a disaster. Look at the Building Society Park. And look at the quality of some of the roads. It's done today, 3-4 months later, there are potholes on these roads. So we're not getting good value for our money. We have overborrowed. We have, overstretched this country. We have overtaxed our people. And COVID really comes and just messes up everything. And so people are in need of huge relief. They are looking around, looking out somewhere there for a breakthrough. But and yet the breakthrough is within us. Every Zambian should reflect. Why are we where we are? What is going on? And what is my part in doing anything? And why is it going on? We need to ask these critical questions.
Sub-Chief NGP of the Kabenda-speaking people of Sampia district in LUAPULA province called for political change in 2021. Sub-Chief NGP's plea comes in the wake of high poverty levels, according to him. The traditional leader said this when Democratic Party DP President Harry Kalaba called on him at his palace in Sampia. Meanwhile, the Sub-Chief has advised Mr. Kalaba not to be intimidated by anyone in his pursuit of becoming president. He urges Mr. Kalaba to remain brave, and Mr. Kalaba says people's economic liberation remains in their hands. He says voting for the right people in 2021 is the only surest way of changing people's lives. Mr. Kalaba is on a tour of northern and LUAPULA provinces, mobilizing his party in readiness for the 2021 general elections.
ngerando kutifewo mfumu wesu kwa kabendi kimone mwabushi tatwa kusenga pakuisefyo bayindi pali abale kiri kwenda ero bayikafya babayikalo mamale kisambishati kala bawapa miule wale tangirira ingeshina kasho kukutungulwa ifikolo fyale tungulwa kwisa mulimo nafatu chinda miko tukabiraba kwenda sema tuifunga kwata ulia bushiku imwenga mwaya patovo August mwaya pamaki apali amaki kala bamwasala nishukuno kwa NGP so umweo nemfua abakwete ni mwevu mino yenu ngamulefa kuno kuisuke ngamulefa kuno kubyo kwa isalo ngefini ni mwevu mkanjira nomba balenje kwenda kala bakuno wisa kamana ukawina tulibanga ko Triumph Foundation, a non-profit making organization
but based towards helping the underprivileged in society, has made a donation of assorted food and non-food items to over 100 widows at Sons and Daughters of Light Church in Lusaka's Chipata compound. Foundation Executive Director Hola Simbeye says there is need for those with plenty to share with those with little in observance of God's teachings. Details in this. Blessed is the hand that gives than the hand that receives. These are the common words that people fail to act upon. But today, Triumph Foundation started in February 2019 with the aim of empowering and alleviating those less fortunate in society, has acted upon these words. In line with its mandate, the foundation has helped the less fortunate in hospitals and schools, generally the communities as well. Today, the foundation, through its leaders, have donated assorted items to over 100 widows in Lusaka's Chipata compound as one of its outreach programs at Sons and Daughters of Light Church. Foundation CEO Hola Simbeye explains that God blesses people in order for them to be a blessing to others.
The reason why I've made this thing is because I've chosen myself to say I need to touch people's lives, widows, orphans, and the vulnerable children, because the Bible says, who loves a widow touches the heart of God. We have about 120 bags of mealie meal, 100 containers of cooking oil, 3.5 liters of bullets in the buckets, and the tickets of sugar.
Giving sometimes it is an inborn thing. We should not just target on a festive season. That's when we should give. No, we must be on a lookout to make sure that we see people who are passing through challenges, people who are struggling in life. If God has blessed you abundantly, you have to remember to go back and lift those who are still down, because the resources we have, they don't belong to us. We are just caretakers. God has given us to take care of his resources.
Other clergy were also present at the handover ceremony with a core message from the Bible that says honoring the widows and orphans is one of the biblical principles that Christians should follow to show love.
Honoring the widows as well as the orphans, the vulnerable, it's one of a biblical principle, because if you look at the Bible itself, it speaks throughout, from the Old Testament to the New Testament to the church today.
I think the call to all our churches across is not to be self-centered and focus on the needs of only maybe the pastor and the local church. We're in all those places in the proximity of vulnerable people. Right now the outreach at Triumph here is in the surrounding of Chipata Overspill, a very vulnerable place where I have worked myself for the last 23 years. And if you go out there, you'll find people, even in the days of the COVID, who could not have had a meal because they were not allowed to do vending in town. Their children could not go to school. They could not even afford a face mask. Every church pastor, reach out beyond your walls.
And resident pastor for Sons and Daughters of Light Church, Michael Kaptula, expressed gratitude to Triumph Foundation, urging other members to help the needy and have a better society.
Jesus is love. So like we are seeing what's happening here today is all about Jesus, it's all about love, it's all about giving. Because if we don't do that, then I don't know the gospel that we are preaching. So the people that are watching us out there, is that what we are doing here is an example to people out there to learn also to do the same, so that we can change the world at large.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka. In other news, the Cleaning Association of Zambia President Lawrence Makumbi has implored members of the association to take a leading role in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Makumbi says the role of the cleaners in the fight against the pandemic cannot be overemphasized. Speaking to Camnet TV, Mr. Makumbi has emphasized on the need to use the right personal protective equipment when undertaking cleaning services. Mr. Makumbi is, however, impressed that so far none of the association members have been affected by the COVID-19, in an indication that they have been observing health guidelines as set by the Ministry of Health.
this COVID-19. We have seen that most of you, none has fallen ill to this, but this is not time. This is not time to relent. We appeal that you continue using the right PPE as you carry out your duties. Remember always, there is no job that is so important that you do it unsafely. Safety first for all cleaners. Make sure you use the right PPE, wear your gloves, wear your face masks, wear your attire to make sure that you protect yourselves and you protect your loved ones. Cleaners must always be in the right PPE, and there is no job worth doing if it is not safe.
The Islamic Supreme Council of Zambia President Suzio Zimba has advised President Lungu to understand that he is the president of everyone in this country. Speaking to Camnet TV News, Mr. Zimba says the president must learn to exhibit tolerance towards criticism targeted at him because he is the father of the nation. He says the head of state must strike a balance between being the Patriotic Front president and being the leader for the entire nation. And Mr. Zimba has also reminded the Patriotic Front cadres to stop thinking that President Edgar Lungu only represents their party interest. The religious leader notes that the people who voted for President Edgar Lungu during the 2016 general elections are more than Patriotic Front supporters, hence the need for the head of state to embrace everyone.
The president being aligned only to the party that is in ruling, I think that is killing our country. We need to move away from that notion that if the president belongs to this political party, then everything is about this political party. But the president is a president where it's like a house where you marry a woman who has come with children. Now, take those as the opposition and other people, they have the other relatives. Imagine I marry a child, maybe the father died. I marry the mother. That child has relatives from the mother's side and from the father's side. So if they visit, I have to welcome them. So what I'm trying to say is that we need a setup that is like the setup where you have an extended family and you're looking after the extended family. So that people do not see, like currently they should not see our head of state as their own, but they should see the head of state also for everyone. Because he's a president for everyone. He's not a president for one individual. He's not a president for a few individuals.
We take another set of commercials, but still to come is international and sports news. Stay with us.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
We all miss the days we would play outside, go to school, and visit fun places. But now, we all have to take care to prevent the coronavirus. Viruses are really tiny particles that we can't see with just our eyes, so we need to keep ourselves safe by practicing good hygiene, such as washing our hands with soap and clean water regularly. We can also use hand sanitizer to keep our hands clean. It's also important for us to keep our bodies and surroundings clean. We must also avoid handshakes, hugs, and standing close to other people in public places. This is called social distancing. The coronavirus has affected millions of people around the world, so we need to stay safe. In the meantime, we can keep ourselves busy by reading a book, watching TV, and doing some schoolwork. There's so much we can do indoors. Stay safe, stay home, and prevent COVID-19. We're all in this together.
This advert is sponsored by the Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Hello, have you heard about Msika? Do you know that you can advertise for as low as 150 kwacha for 30 seconds? Well, Msika is here. Advertise on Msika between 17 hours and 18 hours. Just tell us about the services that you offer and we'll gladly put you on the market. For more details, you can contact +260 953 995099. +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Msika, allowing your business to grow.
Welcome back. We now look at international news. A diplomatic spate between Kenya and Somalia is now affecting trade, particularly Somalis living in Kenya. Somalia blames its neighbors for meddling in its internal affairs, a charge Kenya denies. Many Somali-owned businesses, especially those in the travel industry, say they are already bearing the brunt after the Somali government decided to revoke visas on arrival for Kenyans. Somalia cut diplomatic relations with neighboring Kenya on Tuesday, accusing it of meddling in politics. It also withdrew its diplomats from Kenya and gave Kenyan diplomats 7 days to leave Mogadishu. In Islay, neighboring in the capital Nairobi, popular with Somali and Kenyans of Somali descent, there are fears that the sour relations between the two neighbors will grossly affect their businesses.
The federal government of Somalia has cut diplomatic ties with Kenya. Somalia says it has recalled all its diplomats from Nairobi and given Kenyan diplomats in Mogadishu 7 days to leave the country. The announcement was made after Somalia submitted a letter of protest against Kenya to Sudanese Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, who is also the chair of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD. But in a rejoinder, Kenya government spokesperson Cyrus Oguna said there were ongoing efforts to restore Kenya's relationship with Mogadishu as the neighbors need each other. Somalia recently accused Kenya of meddling in its internal affairs. The latest move by Mogadishu comes just hours after President Uhuru Kenyatta hosted the president of self-declared Republic of Somaliland, Muse Bihi. Somaliland declared independence from Somalia in 1991.
We now look at sports news. In sports news, Lionel Messi equalized Brazil's legend Pele's record of 643 goals for the single club by scoring for Barcelona on Saturday's draw against Valencia. The Argentine 33 achieved the feat with a diving header just before halftime, immediately after his penalty was saved by keeper Wame Domesche. Messi scored his first goal for Barca in 2005 against Albacete. Pele scored 643 goals in 19 seasons for BRA. Sadly for Messi, his celebration will likely be muted after Barcelona failed to beat their mid-table opponents. The result leaves the 26-time champions fifth in the La Liga, 8 points behind Atletico Madrid, who earlier defeated Elche 3-1 to move to 29 points.
Lionel Messi equaled Brazil legend Pele's record of 643 goals for a single club by scoring for Barcelona in Saturday's draw against Valencia. The Argentine, 33, achieved the feat with a diving header just before halftime, immediately after his penalty was saved by keeper Jorge Domenech. Messi scored his first goal for Barca in 2005 against Albacete. Pele scored 643 goals in 19 seasons for Brazilian side Santos between 1956 and 1974. Sadly for Messi, his celebrations will likely be muted after Barcelona failed to beat their mid-table opponents. The result leaves the 26-time champions fifth in La Liga, 8 points behind Atletico Madrid, who earlier defeated Elche 3-1 to move to 29 points. Fierce rivals and champions Real Madrid, 5 points ahead of Barca, play Eibar on Sunday. This should have been Barcelona's third league win on the bounce, having led 2-1 in the second half and grown stronger as the match progressed. They were given an almighty jolt in the 29th minute when defender Mortar Diakaby gave the visitors the lead when he headed in from a corner after being left unmarked. Valencia had defended well up to that point and felt aggrieved that Barcelona were awarded a penalty just before halftime when Jose Gaya was judged to have pushed Antoine Griezmann over in the area. After the referee Alejandro Hernandez confirmed the foul following a check of the pitch-side monitor, Messi stepped up for what should been his historic moment. However, Domenech made a brilliant save only for the Argentine to then nod home at the far post seconds later. Barcelona were on top for much of the second half and penetrated the last line of defense once more when Uruguayan defender Ronald Araujo produced an outlandish scissor kick which beat the reach of Domenech. Ronald Koeman's men were desperate to kill the game off with another goal, but as they pressed they were caught by a Valencia counterattack, which resulted in the deadly Maxi Gomez poking in at the far post. The 24-year-old Uruguay striker has now been involved in at least one goal in 6 of his 7 La Liga games against Barcelona. Ex-Liverpool midfielder Philippe Coutinho went close with an angled strike 12 minutes from time, but that was as close as Barca got to scoring again in the closing stages.
Thank you so much for staying on. We now end our news, but before we go, the headlines once again. CCZ describes 2020 as a difficult year for Zambia economically. LUAPULA chief advocates for political change in 2021. And 4 days of voter registration exercise extension ends today, Sunday, as more people still left out. In international news, Somali-Kenya diplomatic row deepens. And in sports news, Messi equals PELE record with a 643rd club goal. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, and it's coming from Isaiah 7 verse 14, and it reads, "Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign, the virgin will conceive, have a son, and name him Emmanuel." Thank you so much for staying with us on our news desk. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Good night and keep watching.